Hey everybody, this is Spooky Bjorn here, and I'm back with another video, and this is going to be kind of part of a small series where I'm going to be critiquing other people's artwork. These are voluntary critiques. I just posted a journal on DeviantArt and asked if anybody wanted their work critiqued, and I got about a few dozen responses, so I figured I'd do one artist per video. Might be 1 to 2 pieces. It just depends on how long it takes. So yeah, this is the first installment of the series of critique videos. So the artist I will be critiquing today, their name is Bunny Hoper 227, and they submitted one of the pieces that they asked me to critique. The title is just a smiley face. Yeah, so let's get started. So the first thing that I noticed about this piece is that you did a really good job of making it dynamic. There's a lot of movement in here. One thing I would say that would really help is if maybe you had the cape kind of blowing in the breeze as this character is rushing forward, and if maybe you had its back, what side is that? Its back right leg kind of bending forwards instead of backwards. I'll show a reference picture for what I mean near the end of the video. Another thing I noticed is that you kind of have the fire as a source of light, and, well, not kind of, the fire is a source of light, but the issue is that the background is so bright, the fire kind of loses its intensity. And I just did a really quick kind of, not draw over, but I just kind of did a real quick lighting adjustment to the background in this picture. And you can see that already the light source appears much more vibrant, and with the contrast to the shadows, it has a more serious tone to it now. So that's one thing you have to keep in mind when you're doing anything with a very strong light source like fire or, like a lamp or something, is you have to have a lot of really good contrast, so that will make the light stand out more. I'd also recommend that when you're sort of doing highlights like this, that you add more than just kind of like the bright white color, like add some of the yellows and oranges that you would find in the fire, and that'll add some more depth and brightness to the light as opposed to the contrast of the shadow, if that makes sense. And there are a few other things that I noticed. So for one, the background is kind of sloppy, and I think that when you're drawing, you have to think of the background almost as a second character. Otherwise, it kind of is just an afterthought, and you kind of just add the background quickly just to have a background. And I mean, I do that all the time. I really don't like doing backgrounds, but a background can really make or break your piece. And with this background, it just feels very flat, and it feels like you kind of rushed through it. So I'd recommend the next time that you add a background to an image, you really study like landscapes and, photography and pictures and everything, so you can kind of get a better understanding of backgrounds, and you can add more depth of field. The thing that I'd say is that for this character that you've drawn, the anatomy is a bit ambiguous, in the sense that I can't really tell what sort of animal this creature is. Are they feline? Are they canine? Or is it just a creature that you've made up? So I think when you're drawing characters like this, animal characters, it's a really good idea to just be mindful of the creature's anatomy, so it doesn't kind of get muddled and hard to understand. Here is sort of a little quick sketch that I did. And as you can see, the pose is a lot more dynamic because instead of having the leg kind of straight out at that angle for any sort of animal like that, you gotta think it'd actually be pretty painful to have their leg extended like that. So I feel like it would make more sense maybe if you had the leg bent up and the paw was down. And if you really wanted to show the paw pad, you could just kind of have the paw facing, kind of turn more so it's facing the viewer. I also have kind of the back legs bent, and you can see that I've drawn the cape kind of flowing in this breeze that's created by this character running forward. I've also added more depth of field to the background so a way that's really easy to do that is by just adding a first row of trees and then drawing kind of the horizon line, just wherever you'd like it, and then kind of figuring out where you think the middle ground would be, and then just drawing trees there and smaller, and then the further you go, just making the trees smaller and taller, and then kind of adding the leaves and stuff there. Because when you think about it, the leaves from the trees wouldn't be so far down low like you've drawn it. They'd probably be a lot higher up and you'd only be seeing the tree trunks from the very frontwards facing trees. I will say just to keep in mind the general proportions of the character, because just in this, the head is really disproportionate to the body, and yeah, and even if you want to draw in sort of a cuter, simpler style, I think it's just important to keep proportions in mind. But overall, I think, honestly, this is a good piece, and, other than just like some small fixes to lighting and, maybe if you want to go back and change the background, it's a really good image. You have a really good composition. The energy's there. Your character has a lot of emotion, and your character has an interesting and unique design. And I think if you just keep at it and, take this advice to heart, you'll really find yourself improving even more every day that you draw. In this case, it's honestly just a matter of, maybe just studying animal anatomy a little bit better and, practicing backgrounds more and just keeping in mind contrast when you have really strong light sources like this. So yeah, I hope that this critique was helpful, and if you guys enjoy this video and you want more, please let me know in the comments. And yeah, I can't think of anything else to say, so thank you and goodbye.